Hey everyone, we're here with a very special guest, Mr. Erik Stokkebye. Erik,
Hey, Shane.
good to be back.
Good to see you, man. Yeah.
And we've got some stuff to talk about. We've got some pipes going and a little bit of coffee and time to catch up.
Beautiful day.
A beautiful day, yeah. It won't be for long. I think.
Before the storm.
Before the storm.
Yeah.
The rare South Carolina ice storm.
Yeah. And we're both fleeing before it gets bad.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. But I think Charlotte is going to have bad weather as
Yeah.
well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be worse there
Crazy.
here.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah. It's good to be here.
first smoke of the day, a
Yeah.
little bit of coffee, nice way to wake up.
Yeah. Sure is. Yeah. I'm smoking the Father's Friends and Fire aromatic, the sweet aromatic. I haven't smoked this in a long time, but you know what? It's a damn good blend.
It smells
yeah.
very good.
Yeah,
too.
it is. It's got some good character and it's well balanced and I like it. I really do.
So the Father's Friends and Fire series being the first, I think was this the first non-limited edition project that you and Jeremy developed together?
I think it was. Yes, it was. Yes.
Because
exactly.
there had been a handful of the limited edition,
the limited
small batch
editions
stuff.
exactly that we did together, and then we did the pipes, the Father's Friends and Fire pipes for. I guess this has got to be maybe the 10th year that we're doing it.
Wow.
And then, I thought about, maybe we should have like a line of tobacco with it. And then I mentioned it to Jeremy and he said, yeah, absolutely. So, and started, sampling and
Yeah.
And they're all really good and they're doing well. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're missing one of them here because
a little out of
it's
stock.
Out of
Yeah.
stock. Yeah. That's usually a good sign.
It is a good sign, yeah.
But there is more in production. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
yeah.
Don't worry. But yeah, that's one of the things that I love about the fourth generation brand. Like, you guys do the pipes, you guys do the tobacco, you guys do accessories, like covering the entire pipe smoking experience pretty
Yeah.
much. There's not a lot of brands out there that do all of those things and like take them all seriously
Right.
and
do
really
them well.
have-
And do them
like,
well,
good
yeah.
quality, good,
It's-
coming out with new things and being creative.
I feel
Yeah.
like it's sort of I don't know, maybe a bit of a bygone era where all of those house brands, a lot of which started as shops.
Right.
Yeah.
Astley's done hell for
Sure.
Trayer. Like
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah,
them
yeah,
started as
yeah,
at
yeah.
Rat Trace.
Yeah,
A lot of
yeah.
them started as shops.
Yeah.
And it was common at that point to have both a very robust pipeline and tobacco line. And with consolidation over the last many decades and stuff like that, you just don't see it too much anymore, except
Right.
for some of those heritage brands.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
and
and I
fourth
mean,
gen.
like even Dunhill doesn't have the tobacco anymore. Like, there's just not a lot of people still doing it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I felt it was important to have when I started this brand. I felt it was really important to have a pipe and tobacco, obviously, and
All the accessories.
The accessories under one name, and so we started it about all the same time. Within 1 or 2 years. 2012, we introduced a line of tobaccos, and then soon after came the pipes from Peter Nerup, and then after that, like 6 months later, we had the line of accessories. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
All really quick.
yeah. So it's been fun. It really has.
I also appreciate you're still doing, like you said, the Father's Friends and Fire, the Pipe series, the limited series every year, the Pipe of the Year every year.
Pipe of the year, yeah.
And I feel like that's another tradition
Yeah.
that not many people carry forward.
Right.
Yeah. And the same thing with the accessories. I mean, I've lost count at this point of how much, how many sort of fresh and sort of firsts that we've seen in the fourth gen line on the accessory side
Right.
of things. The backpack and the messenger bags,
Exactly.
the bigger leather goods, and
Tobacco humidor.
pipe tobacco humidor,
And I mean, like fresh stuff, but also still throwing a lot back to tradition. I mean,
Yeah.
we've got the humidor here,
Yeah.
and you were talking about how the design on the top of that is, an old snuff can.
It's an old, pure gold snuff can about this size.
That's so cool.
It was my grandfather's, and he gave it to me, a long time ago. But it was, I think, like a local bishop in the town of Odense, Denmark, that originally owned it. And for some reason, he gave it to my grandfather or whatever. He didn't steal it. I pretty sure about that.
Pretty sure.
Yeah. So
I feel like if you're everybody's pipe tobacco connection, back in those days, you had some friends in high places.
yeah, exactly. So so the design of that box, the lid, it's just basically the design here. It's quite beautiful, I think. And so I was looking at it for a long time, and then we should do something with this.
Yeah.
You know,
And it's very
It's
nice.
gorgeous.
And
Yeah.
you said you've got that design, on a lighter, on
On a lighter, as a matter of fact, we have that.
Oh, that's the one?
here.
Yeah.
Right here.
Very nice.
So, and then the limited edition tin that we did last year as well. So yeah, so this is really cool, and the idea came about a couple of years ago when I was at a PCA show, and I was seeing all these cigar humidors, and I said, we should do something for the pipe tobacco.
Yeah.
And then I started talking with this company, and came up with some models and some ideas, and then and then it ended up with this. So we had the first one last year, and then this is this year. So actually, this is the last year. So then we're gonna have another one coming up here,
nice.
sometime this year.
Yeah, when you were visiting, I guess that would have been early 24 when the first one
exactly,
came out. There was the
exactly.
picture of the old shop. And
Exactly.
everything.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
that, when we were talking about that product the last time we were hanging out there, it is kind of remarkable that there's nothing else really like that on the market.
Yeah.
And you can go back, way back when, a pipe rack and a wooden tobacco jar and all that kind of stuff was pretty ubiquitous to have on the desk or whatever. So yes, there's been mostly jars, pipe caddies, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But especially in the last half century with again, the number of brands that are putting stuff like out that are declining, just nothing like this.
Right.
And I really love the
this
concept.
This is
and,
actually my own, and this is for burrito packs. Pouches are here, and then you have your own. I mean, I actually blended this together from a flake blend, and I think I want to say in 1957.
Okay.
And then I came up with this, and it's fun. I mean, it's fun to fool around with, and these glasses are really nice, and you can have a couple of pipe cleaners here, and then it's amber, and it keeps the moisture really well with the packs. So yeah.
Such a cool concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we do have something else new, which I think is on the market for maybe about 24 hours at this point, not quite.
Yeah.
24 hours at this point. We just released it
Yeah.
at Smoking Pipes
Yeah.
yesterday afternoon,
Yeah.
and that's the new bulk edition,
Yes.
which is Black Dot.
Black dot. Yeah.
So why don't we talk a little bit about the development of that and what you were envisioning to add to the bulk line and.
Yeah, I wanted to, we do very well with the evening flake, and so I wanted to have something that was not quite the same, but a little bit unusual.
A cousin, a sibling.
A cousin, a sibling, yeah, exactly. And came up with this concept, spent some time in Denmark almost a year and a half ago now in the factory, and then we talked about this, and I wanted to do something with Perique, and just something that's unique and different. And I asked them about Red Virginia, and they said, yeah, we have some Red Virginia in stock, and blah blah blah. So and then we came up with this Black Dot
Coin cut.
Yeah, yeah. So it's very. I think it's very mellow. It's got some really good character balance to it.
Oh, those are nice.
Those are beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Beautiful
and
ones.
it's a hand. It's a hand production.
Hand spun.
Hand spun.
Hand spun, yeah.
So it takes a while, and but I think they do really good job. And
Stuff like that has to be a labor of love, right?
it
Like-
is exactly. So yeah, so I really like it, and couldn't wait to put it on the market, and so
Yeah, I'm anxious to see the reception once everybody starts getting their
Sure.
orders in their hands.
yeah.
and-
But yeah, what are you guys smoking of the Father's Friends and Fire?
I'm smoking the Virginia Oriental.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm smoking to, the batch
Okay.
number 001.
Yep.
It's very good.
Yes.
It's very good. I always love like this archetype, you know.
Yeah.
Naturally sweet
Yeah.
Virginias, Oriental.
Yeah, it's a great combination. This is really well balanced between the two.
Especially in the morning, I feel like it's like a nice
Yeah.
sort of like softer smoke to sort of ease into the day.
Yeah.
Yep. Goes well with the coffee.
That's true.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know I told you this not terribly long after it was released, which was a couple years ago now, but I think I'm up to, I don't know, somewhere around 50 tins of Max Eric's blends
Oh, really?
sitting
Yeah.
in my closet.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
That-
putting
that-
together a pretty good collection.
That
of
is,
this, too.
Steve, I know Steve got on it too, but
Yeah.
that's, I mean, just for an everyday smoke.
It's great.
I mean,
Yeah.
when I really don't feel like making a decision about anything,
Yeah.
I'll just
Yeah.
pop another tin.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
I've been going through those at a faster clip than I think about anything else in the last
Yeah,
couple
yeah.
years.
Yeah. Yeah, he when I did that, you know, I ran out of grandfathers and great grandfathers. So, you know, I had to do something
Yeah.
within the family.
So
and-
are you pushing Max like pump out some kids, man? We need another generation.
Yeah, we
Pump
got
out some
50,
kids,
60
man.
grand.
yeah. So I asked Max, you know, do you mind if I use your name? And he said no, but I should probably check with the company. The company is Scandinavian Tobacco Group, and you know, they have more money than I do. So you know, and they actually thought it was a fun idea. And,
That's cool. That's cool.
So it's all good.
Yeah.
So yeah, so maybe the next one will be, you know, our daughter Anna. So
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be really
yeah.
cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
I thought
Absolutely.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And I feel like most parents have that, like, come on, I want grandkids kind of a thing.
Yeah,
But
that's
you're like,
right.
hey,
Right.
this brand depends on it.
We need this. There's a lot at stake here.
yeah. So yeah, but he moved back to Denmark about a year ago, a little over a year ago.
Yeah,
with his
okay.
wife and are doing well. So yeah, it's good.
Good, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see him at one of the shows this year.
I think maybe he might be coming to Chicago.
He was mentioned the
Yeah.
last time we spoke.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
asked him. I'd asked him
Yeah.
about Vegas in
Right.
in the fall, and he said Chicago
Right.
was likely
Yeah.
the next one he'd come to. That'd be cool.
Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's the other thing I think is like super unique about your brand, Eric, is that like we've talked about the diversity of products, the tobaccos, the pipes, the accessories. Like I think it's so interesting that like it's not specific to one manufacturer.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Like it really is. You've built relationships with people in the industry.
I have, yeah.
And you get to go to whatever well you think
Right.
would best suit this product.
Yeah,
And I think the result is like a really diverse, well-rounded portfolio of like where pipes and pipe tobacco
Yeah.
are today.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Yep. It's a kind of a snapshot of
Yeah.
Yeah.
almost every manufacturing style and packaging style and everything.
Yeah.
And that's pretty remarkable. Again, that's something you don't get with I don't think anybody else.
Right.
Yeah, and it really gives you license to like experiment and make sure you're getting the best quality manufacturing
Exactly.
for every product that you're,
Exactly.
that you're putting out.
Yeah.
And there's something for everybody as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
especially the pipeline. The pipeline is really interesting. I think in the last couple of years, the addition of some of the Italian produced series,
Yeah.
like it's a completely different aesthetic
It
than the
is.
stuff that you've had made in Denmark previously.
Exactly.
And like, yeah, again, it's like, okay, what are your tastes as a pipe smoker?
Yeah.
And it kind of doesn't matter
Yeah.
on the tobacco or the pipe side or the accessory side for that much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got something appealing in the line.
Yeah, you know, it's, you know, because when I started this project, or started this brand, I should say, yeah, of course.
Thanks.
You know, or going back, my whole family, we just been in tobacco. We never really been into making pipes or anything like that. I mean, my father did have a line of pipes as well, but it was made by somebody in Denmark. So, so I had to explore and learn this whole pipe side of the business, and it's really been good because, you know, I met Antoine from Chacom. It's probably been 10, 15 years ago now. But he introduced me again to Bruno Nutten, who's making our pipes,
The Pipes of the Year,
You know,
yeah.
so it all kind of escalated, and it's just been a fun ride. You know,
Yeah.
it really has.
Absolutely.
Meeting people and you know, and talking about, well, what do you think about doing something with me? And so yeah, it's been really really good. And you know, because it's a relatively small business. So it's good to meet people and talk about projects or
That is one of the funnest and coolest parts of this industry in general is that
Yeah.
it's such a tight knit group.
Exactly.
And everybody has some kind of a relationship or business synergy with
Right.
one another.
Yeah.
Even on the retail side, like, you know, who's distributing this brand and we buy that, and they buy a brand that we distribute. And like
Exactly.
it's such a cool thing that all of the competition is so healthy and friendly and
Yeah.
like again, like I said, in many ways interconnected and full of synergies with one another.
Yeah.
I mean, like we all have the same shared goals.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
We're like pipe smoking. That like it's no secret that has you know it's far less popular and has declined per capita.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, since
Yeah.
its heyday in the
Yeah.
you know in the,
The early 20th century, yeah.
Yeah.
So having experts like yourself, Eric, and like being able to partner with Cornell Diehl and you know small artisan workshops as well as like Antoine and Jacome and
Right.
like Neerup and others. I think it's just it really shows that cohesiveness and sort of shared goal to preserve this tradition.
Yeah.
It's an industry where when somebody wins, everybody wins.
That's a really good way of putting it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And because the hobby in general kind of attracts just like great people and good people, everybody's
People who
happy.
care,
Yeah,
yeah.
people who care, people who
don't
are passionate.
People don't stay in this industry who don't love it.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're
Yeah.
here because you love it.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Otherwise, you'd be selling burial plots or concrete or something.
Yeah.
Something. So there's more money.
No, you have to have a passion.
You have
for
to have a
it.
passion for it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So that just makes for a scenario where we're happy to see other people win, and like everybody.
Oh,
It's-
yeah.
it's just
I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great industry, just like it's a great hobby.
Yeah. Exactly.
This just popped in my head, Eric, and
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a good answer to it, and I'm not even sure the best way I'm trying to ask this question. But so go back to
Okay.
more or less the beginning, and
Yeah.
you grew up in this, obviously.
I
so
did.
from the time you were old enough to remember. I mean, we have actual books that document this, by the way. Like, baby Eric walking around. You've been
My father's book, yeah.
in a tobacco family,
Yeah.
obviously as long as you've been alive.
Yes.
So at the point where you started to, I don't know, not maybe necessarily enter the family business, because I know it wasn't. You were very young when you started buying tobacco.
Yes, well, I was, my father, I'm dating myself here, but when my father took me to my grandfather's factory, one of the first time, I think I was 8 years old, and it was on Saturdays.
So cool.
Because they worked half days on Saturdays
Yeah.
at that time, So he took me in there, and it was an old 4-story factory, and they had pipe tobacco production on the ground floor, and then on the second floor, I think they had cigar rolling, and the third floor was Oliver Twist.
Okay.
And then they had packaging on the top floor, and I had to slip boxes from the top floor down to the ground floor, and that was pretty much our job or my job. So it was interesting because at that time it was common to have a factory in the back, and usually several stories, and then
Like a storefront.
and then a storefront, a retail shop in the
Yeah.
front, and the building is still there. It's preserved. It's now apartments, and I think it's ladies' clothes or something like that. But it's pretty much. My name is still on there because I have the same name as my grandfather, and it says authorized Dunhill Keel also on the other
That's so
side.
cool.
So
That's so
it's
cool.
kind of cool, yeah. So it's been all my life, and I had a period actually back going back to 2010, 2011, where I was kind of in between things, and I said, well, maybe I should try something completely different and just separate myself from this tobacco business. And then I thought more about it and said, well, this is really my life, and this is what I do, and I need to continue this. And that's when we came up. I worked with an advertising marketing guy, and he said, you should start your own brand. I said, what? And I said, you should start your own brand. So, that's how
it got going.
It got going, yeah.
So back to, okay, so you're 8 years old, schlepping boxes in the factory on the weekends. Sounds like a blast.
Every kid's dream.
Every kid's dream, I'm sure. And also, too, I love the idea that, like, I mean, in my case, it would have been get outside and mow the lawn. Like, what do you not want to do when you're a kid? And I love that he's like, I don't want to go to the family tobacco factory. I love that juxtaposition, really. But what I was going to say is, do you remember your first pipe or your first pipe smoking experience?
Yes,
What
I
was
do.
it?
It was a Criswell pipe.
That's a nice first pipe.
And because they had a pretty big pipe factory in the town of Kolding.
It was Kolding.
Yeah. And the tobacco, I don't remember, which is I should have, but I don't. But anyway, the reason for me starting with a pipe was I was 16 years old, and my friends were smoking cigarettes. So I came to my dad and said, can I smoke cigarettes as well? And he said, no, you can smoke, but you have to smoke a pipe. So, all right. So
that's going to be a rule in my household.
I started smoking a pipe, and so good so far. So
did you pick that Criswell out? Did he pick it for you?
I think he gave it to me.
He gave it to you. It was one of his, probably.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So-
That's really special.
Yeah.
But just going back to, because something just fell into my head, and going back to passion about the industry and how small it is and so forth. So I have a really cool story, and I don't know if you guys have read about it, but Oliver Twist was something that my grandfather did for many, many years, and he actually invented the little box and so forth. And
that's so cool.
Sold it mostly in Norway, Denmark, and so forth. And then the company was later sold, and then I want to say 5 years ago, they still have their factory in Odense. 5 years ago, I think Swedish Match bought them because they bought a couple of companies in Denmark. But Oliver Twist was just a different product from other oral
Like chewing tobacco.
tobaccos, that type of thing. And then I want to say 4 months ago, the Gunderson family bought Oliver Twist and the factory from Swedish Match.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
And
Okay.
George Gunderson, I worked with doing Orlik. He was the president of Orlik Tobacco Company. And his family has also been in the tobacco business for, I think, 3 generations. And, and they, he was involved with pipe tobacco, of course, and then he had his own companies making snus. And then they got out of that, and then now they bought Oliver Twist, and so that's really, it all comes
crazy.
back.
Yeah.
And so I sent him a nice note and congratulating on the purchase. So that's kind of
That's
cool.
very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's very
So
cool.
it all stays in the family, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, just wanted to mention that.
And what's it like? I guess maybe I've asked you this before, and I just can't recall. But it's also remarkable that Max is in the business now too.
Yeah. Yes, it is. And it was just he was done with college. He went to Appalachian State and was done with it. And I said, well, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I don't know." And
I've got some boxes in the factory.
I said, "Well, I'm friends with some of the people at Lane Limited in Atlanta, so maybe I can get you a chat with these guys." And so he drove down there, and they liked what. They liked him, and they hired him as a salesman.
Yeah.
And I said, look, you got your foot in the door, and if it doesn't work out, you got something to put on your resume.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you want to do something completely different, and then now it's, I think, almost 10 years later, he's still with the company.
Yep.
So,
That's awesome.
So that's good. You know,
It is.
makes
Yeah.
me happy. So
Again, just the tradition of it,
Right.
you know, it's carrying the torch and
Exactly.
being stewards of this thing that we love. And,
Yep.
yeah,
it's
Yeah.
It's great to see.
it's
Yeah.
great to see. It's
It
great
is.
to see. And again, you just don't see that kind of generational
not that much
in many
anymore.
other businesses
Right.
these days. Yeah.
Right. No, you don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's good. But you know, like we talked a little bit yesterday
Yeah.
Andy, about how things are coming back. You mentioned that pipe tobacco was mentioned in one New York Times article about
Yeah.
being the
Yeah.
trend for
Yeah.
2026,
Yeah.
among other things, obviously. But you know, who knows what's going to happen? And maybe it's
Seems like everybody's paying attention to the noise we've been making the last 20 years about about this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you go to pipe shows and things like that, you're seeing more and more younger people,
Yeah.
younger faces. You're seeing
Yes.
more and more people
Exactly.
who, I just started smoking a pipe
Yeah.
6 months ago. This is
Yeah,
my
yeah.
first show, all that sort of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
It's really energizing to be around all those people who are new and excited,
Right.
but also very clearly are already taking it seriously and researching it, and you know, guys who are
Engaged,
like,
like
I've
very
only been doing this
engaged.
for 6 months, but I already have an Instagram account that's all about pipes, and I
Right.
can already tell you the history of Danish pipe making and all
Right.
that sort of
Yeah.
thing. It's,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
very exciting.
Yeah, I have a
Yeah.
spreadsheet of like cataloging my cellar and like how
Oh,
many
yeah.
years and stuff like that. Like it's
And again, I mean, I started going to Chicago and stuff when I was like 22.
Yep.
And at the time, there was not a lot of 22-year-olds
No.
at the show.
No.
And yeah, going now, it's like
Yeah.
I feel like it's a majority.
Yeah,
yeah.
You know, of
Definitely younger.
millennials or younger
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been really fun to watch,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's one of the reasons why continuing to do thoughtful and interesting product development
Yeah.
is maybe one of the most important things in the
Yes.
business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because yeah, we've lost, like, the pipe smoking community and the hobby writ large has lost so many brands over the years. And most of that was happening before this sort of renaissance that we've seen in the last 20 years.
Sure.
But still,
Yeah.
you know, compared to the choices that you had walking into a shop in the 60s or the 70s or even the 80s, like up until the early 2000s, where the internet really helped reinvigorate the interest and spreading the information and really showing people what was out there. There was a lot of stuff that went away, and choices had become far more limited. So I feel like there is a sense of duty for anybody that's still in the business now to be forward thinking and trying to make sure that we're still pushing the boundaries of innovation, whether it's something like the Humidor here,
Right.
or collaborations on tobacco that are interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's. I'm grateful.
Yeah,
I'm grateful
yeah.
that you didn't decide to do another business.
Right.
You didn't decide to get into something
But I
else.
think you guys have also, you have a big say in the renaissance of pipe tobacco. I
Yeah.
mean, with
Yeah.
what you have put out under Cornell Diehl, and I think that's really, it's wonderful because
Sykes gets a lot of credit for
Yes.
Yeah.
for saying,
Yes.
"Hey,
Yes.
the internet could really improve this thing." And there was a lot of naysaying in the beginning, I mean, just like with the early days of the internet
Sure,
and all kinds
sure.
of industries.
Yeah.
And to look at where it's gotten now, I mean, it's all it takes is a couple of dudes to
Yeah.
to stick with it and believe in it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's a privilege. Like,
It
like,
is.
it is
It
a
is.
privilege
Yeah.
to be able to do this.
Yeah, I mean, for my own personal story, when I
sorry.
started working at this company just about 8 years ago, I had never seen anybody smoke a pipe. I didn't know pipe smoking
Okay.
was even still a thing.
Right.
And you know, I showed up for the interview and I was expecting us to be like two little offices in a big like
Business
park.
complex, yeah.
And that we'd be like three guys shipping out of there, and they did the tour of the whole building back then, and I was like,
Right.
how does pipes and pipe tobacco sustain all of this? And then just, you know, getting to see everything that we do, and I said, well, you know, I'll this is interesting, I'll start smoking a pipe, and just people were throwing tobaccos at me. Here, oh,
Right.
you're starting, try
Right.
this, try this. Oh,
Right,
you like
right.
that? Then try this. You
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
like that? Then
Yeah.
try this.
Yeah.
And that enthusiasm was just so just infectious.
Yes.
And you know, the camaraderie of it all, and everybody being so generous with their tobaccos, and in some cases even pipes.
Right.
And willing to share knowledge and really kind of coach me into becoming a pipe smoker.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And I
One
fell
of
in love
us.
with the hobby.
One
Exactly.
of us.
exactly.
Like-
Fell in love with the hobby, fell in love with the people,
Yeah.
and it's a
Yeah.
great company and industry to work for.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's good.
I think that's what keeps everybody in this business too, is because in many ways it doesn't feel like a business.
Right.
Like in many
Yeah,
ways it feels like we all are just playing around with the thing that we like.
It's still sometimes hard to believe that this is my job and
Exactly.
this is what I do.
and good luck explaining it to distant relatives
Right.
and
Yeah,
anybody
yeah,
else.
yeah,
It's,
yeah.
yeah,
I've stopped trying. I've stopped
Yeah.
trying.
Yeah. What do you do for a living?
Don't worry about it.
Retail. Yeah.
I mean, like my family comes from like a tobacco background. Like my grandfather
Yeah, you're
Had
multi-generational too.
Yeah.
had acres and acres of tobacco farms. Like
Yeah.
that was my great grandfather, and my grandfather actually was like the lead mechanic for R.J. Reynolds for like 30 years.
You told me that yesterday.
The
Yep.
road that I grew up on was Tobacco Road. And
There you go.
I
Tobacco
never-
Road ends at smoking.
I never thought that like
This was going to be the
yeah,
thing.
Yeah.
but it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
even talking to my family, they're like, "What do you mean?" Like,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but it's really cool.
Yeah, it wasn't the family business, but I still have my grandfather's pipes from after he passed, and
That's cool.
My obsession with them began when I was barely walking and talking. I remember when he was still with us, I had already been working for the company for a while, and even before that, I was already collecting and stuff. And almost every time I got a new pipe, he was the guy. He was the only guy that
Yeah.
would care.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I'd be like, "Look at this." He'd be like, "Oh, that's
Yeah.
really nice."
But just
you know?
having somebody to bounce
yeah,
that off
yeah.
is great. Yeah, my family's tobacco history is Marlboro Reds. I was about fourth generation for that.
That's
And I have since moved on to much bigger and better things.
Yeah.
You've evolved. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I have quite a few of my father's pipes too that I've got when he passed away, and one of them is actually one that was made by this guy, Jorgen Larsen is his name.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I tell you, it's one of my favorite pipes. It's so good, and it's got to be at least 30 years old now.
Yeah.
But
Oh, wow.
it's just a great pipe.
Yeah.
And I just love it.
Yeah,
So-
all these pipes that we're smoking right now will outlive all of us.
Yes.
It's amazing
Yeah,
to
yeah.
think
Yep.
about.
Yeah.
I can only hope that whether they choose to smoke or not, my boys treasure them and keep at
And
least a couple of
appreciate
them.
them,
And
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So one more thing.
Yeah.
A little birdie told me that you spent some time in the factory yesterday with our mutual friend Jeremy.
Yes, I did. My good friend Jeremy, and we talked about some new stuff. We talked about doing a new tin under the Friends,
Father's Friends and Friar.
yeah, and fire, and then a new bulk tobacco as well. So,
Awesome. Interesting.
so he promised me he would send me some samples.
Okay.
We talked about some different ideas, and so that's exciting. And,
Absolutely.
Hopefully, we'll have it out sometime later in the year,
Perfect.
and so that's very exciting.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Looking
forward
to
so
it.
am I. So it's going to be good. I
And
think.
lastly, on that, I'll
Yeah.
say you've also been able to see the development of Jeremy's stable of tobaccos
Oh,
and
yeah.
the machinery
Yeah,
and the
it's-
production facility and
I think I was here the first time. Well, not the first time, but I saw the factory the first time maybe 5 years ago, when you were at the different location. And I thought to myself, they got a ways to go.
yeah, sure.
But so from that point to where they are today, it's just
Remarkable.
It's
Yeah.
remarkable. It really is. I mean, hats off.
Yeah, even now they're thinking about what's next.
Yeah.
Still
Yeah.
evolving and
Yeah,
improving,
exactly.
and growing.
So
Yeah, it's early in the early stages, but what you saw yesterday, I'm sure we'll be able to talk about it before too long. I'm just really excited to see what
Yeah.
they'll be able to do with a little bit more control over certain things. And
Sure.
it's just opening up the things that Jeremy's working on now, not just sourcing but processes, are going to open up a whole new playbook of possibilities.
Yeah.
It's very exciting.
It's very exciting.
It
Yeah.
is. It really is. And I think this company have a bright future. It really does. So it's good. Very
Yep.
good. Yeah. Exciting.
Yeah, and excited about the future of
Yeah,
this tobacco.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yes. No, it's yeah, I think it's a fun concept, and yeah, and they do, like I said, started off with they're doing well, so so I'm excited about trying the new
Absolutely.
sample.
Get some new formulas in the mix, new blends.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there anything you can tease or share with us about the accessory line that might be coming up?
We don't have so much in the accessory line, but we are having a new pipe of the year.
Okay.
From Bruno.
Yeah.
Coming up, hopefully this spring.
Excited about that.
Yeah,
It was great.
and then we do have a new limited edition tin coming out later in the year, probably towards the fall. As
Okay.
well.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
That's exciting too. Yeah.
A lot to look forward to.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. So yeah, it's fun. I like it. So we'll have more stuff coming out.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Eric, thanks so
great.
much for stopping by.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure,
Yeah,
man.
same here.
Thanks for having a smoke with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate you, man.
Yeah. Let's see you again. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as always, thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.
See ya.
Yeah.